From a distance, the factory looked modern. Wide halls. Clean walls. Machines arranged with precision. It was the kind of place meant to be photographed. The kind of place officials were proud to show. It looked permanent. Finished. Confident. And for a moment, it worked. Until you stood close enough to touch the machines. That's when the details stopped making sense. Factories like this were shown to visitors across Eastern Europe in the 1950s and 60s. The message was never spoken, but it was clear. This is progress. This is modern industry. This is the future, already built. The buildings were large. The ceilings high. The floors clean enough to reflect light. Everything felt intentional. Measured. Controlled. Nothing looked temporary. Nothing looked unfinished. From a distance, the factory didn't suggest experimentation. It suggested arrival. This was not a place becoming something. This was a place that claimed it already was. But factories are not judged from a distance. They are judged by what happens when something breaks. Up close, the illusion weakened. A control panel didn't quite line up with the machine it supposedly controlled. Buttons were labeled, but their logic felt improvised. A lever had been welded back into place at an odd angle. Not replaced. Not redesigned. Simply forced back where it was needed. A rotating component had been repaired with wire and scrap metal. Not hidden. Not temporary. Permanent. These weren't emergency fixes made in a moment of crisis. They were solutions people had learned to live with. Entire machines existed in a strange state. Finished. Operational. Yet visibly held together by improvisation. You could see it in the way workers approached them. Some machines were trusted. Others were watched constantly. Not because they were dangerous, but because everyone knew what they would do if left alone. The factory functioned. But it functioned because people compensated for its weaknesses by hand. What's striking is how normal this became. No alarms. No panic. No outrage. Engineers adjusted their expectations. Workers adjusted their routines. People learned which sounds to ignore. And which ones meant you should stop what you were doing and pay attention. Breakdowns weren't dramatic events. They were part of the rhythm. Something failed. Someone adapted. Work continued. Machines break everywhere. That was never the unusual part. What mattered was that no one was supposed to talk about why. Reports showed success. Targets were met on paper. Production continued. The factory existed as proof that the system worked. Visible problems were treated as isolated incidents. A faulty part. A careless worker. Bad luck. Never as a pattern. Replacing a machine was harder than repairing it. Ordering a new component meant paperwork. Approvals. Delays. Repairing what already existed could be done quietly. More importantly, it avoided questions. Admitting a design flaw meant admitting someone, somewhere, had made a mistake. And mistakes did not travel well upward. So machines stayed. Even when better designs existed elsewhere. Even when engineers knew improvements were possible. A machine that worked badly, but predictably, was safer than one that exposed deeper problems. Not because it was efficient, but because it was stable. Slowly, a realization set in. These factories were not designed to improve continuously. They were designed to look complete. A finished appearance mattered more than reliability. Stability mattered more than innovation. The system did not reward correction. It rewarded continuity. The factory wasn't lying. It was performing. From the outside, the factory looked modern. From the inside, it revealed something else. Not a lack of intelligence. Not a lack of effort. But a system that preferred appearances over correction. Progress was allowed, as long as it did not expose what came before it. Once you noticed that, you started seeing it everywhere. The Cold War didn't end. It just stopped being visible.